Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels. A very special thanks to all our sponsors who help make our programming possible.
Hello, I'm Monica Weitzel, the host of MetroEast's flagship program, Community Hotline. As we do every week, we'll share good information about local nonprofits who work tirelessly behind the scenes to make your lives better. Our first guest is the Multnomah County Drainage District. This interview is the second in a series of 5 about the work of the Drainage District. Tonight, we'll specifically focus on the future of flood safety along the Columbia River. Then we'll talk with the Multnomah Bar Foundation. A large group of local attorneys and judges volunteer their time with this nonprofit to improve the justice system, promote civic engagement, and other law-related endeavors. We'll talk with some pretty incredible representatives of this organization tonight about the Court Connect program. And we'll finish the show with Cascadia Behavioral Health. The subject will be Senate Bill 1552. This bill is all about mental health services in Oregon. And this is important information you need to know as an engaged citizen of your community. There's a lot of serious subject matter on tonight's show, but we always manage to have fun too. So please stay with us to both learn and be entertained. It's all coming up next on Community Hotline. Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to be talking tonight with Evan Mitchell, who is the Public Affairs and Communications Manager for Levee Ready Columbia. They've been working in concert with Multnomah County Drainage District on a whole series of things to make the levees safer, really. It's great to have you on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tonight we're really going to focus on the future of flood risk and safety along the Columbia. And because, you know, so many of our cities here are along the Columbia, here out in East County and Portland, it's a big deal if it does flood, a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you've done so far, what Levee Ready Columbia has done so far.
Yeah, so Levee Ready Columbia came together about 5.5 years ago, originally in response to changing federal regulations. After Hurricane Katrina, folks might remember there was a lot of scrutiny about, you know, what happened, why did it happen.
Right.
So the Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA, which are the two federal agencies really responsible for flood safety in the country, really did sort of a massive overhaul of their regulations, and particularly around levees. And one of the things they did was make a lot more of the responsibility, push it down to the local level.
Okay.
And so here at the local level, we've got 27 miles of levees all along the Columbia River and Columbia Slough, from basically North Portland through Gresham, Fairview, out to Troutdale and the Sandy River.
Right.
And that's been managed by 4 local drainage districts for about 100 years.
Wow.
And those drainage districts were originally set up by small, kind of farmers and local businesses.
The people that were here 100 years ago, right?
Yeah. But it was very different. It looked very different. The amount of money they needed was very different than kind of the major urban system that we have today. And so the drainage districts were not, kind of two things. The drainage districts were not fully equipped to take on this responsibility financially that the Corps and FEMA were kind of pushing down to the local level. And then also the cities play a big role in FEMA, meeting FEMA requirements as the local land use agencies. The port is one of the biggest landowners in the area.
Sure.
We've got the airport directly behind the levees.
We have two airports, don't we?
Yes. So both the Troutdale Airport and the Portland International. And so Levee Ready really was born out of these many different interests that came together to work on meeting federal regulations for levees. And at first we didn't really know if there was anything even wrong with our levees. We had to start with an investigation, and what we found is the system needs upgrades. It is in relatively good shape, but there are definitely areas that need upgrades, and those will be required to comply with the federal regulations.
So if we were not up to their standards, would we not get FEMA help if there was is that what would happen?
That's pretty close. So there's kind of two pieces. There's the FEMA piece, which currently, because the levees are accredited by FEMA, the property owners behind the levees are not required to have flood insurance. If we lost that, they would be required to have flood insurance.
That could up their rates significantly.
It would up the rate significantly. Also, currently, they have the option of enrolling in the National Flood Insurance Program, which makes flood insurance available for a lot cheaper. So there's multiple benefits. It allows more development behind the levees. Things would have to become much stricter behind the levees if we were not accredited.
But that's all a floodplain, so I mean,
It is. And then the other piece is staying active with the Army Corps of Engineers and their rehabilitation inspection program. And staying active in that guarantees us support if there was a flood. If something horrible happened and the levees breached or overtopped and we needed emergency support, the Army Corps of Engineers comes and helps us because we remain active in their program and we remain in good standing. So.
Wow. So there is some pressure to get that taken care of, isn't there?
There's definitely, it's really important.
Yeah. So what are you doing now? Educating the public, obviously. You've had some community events, some like town hall kind of events.
So there's a couple different things going on. We are kind of on multiple tracks to try to improve the levee system, but also improve the way that it's managed, because the system was set up so long ago.
Right, and four different
districts, 4 different budgets, 4 different boards.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not the most efficient system. And so kind of on one track, we're working with the Army Corps of Engineers to do a study of the system where the Army Corps of Engineers will essentially make recommendations of the improvements that they think are needed to make the system more resilient over the next 50 years. Then we'll have to take those recommendations to Congress and advocate for funding. So that's one track. The other track that we're on is we worked with the state legislature last year to create a new special district that eventually will take over for the 4 drainage districts. And so people are referring to it as like the super district or the mega district. I've heard all sorts of things. But essentially, it consolidates the 4 existing drainage districts, expands the boundaries of the district, and gives it some new authorities. In a couple of areas. One, it's still responsible for operating and maintaining the flood safety infrastructure, so the levees, the pump stations that help keep the area dry. But it also has some added responsibility. So this is actually a map of the new district boundaries.
Oh, and the red is the old district boundaries.
The red is the existing, so you've got the 4 different drainage districts: Peninsula Drainage District 1 and 2, Multnomah County Drainage District, and Sandy Drainage Improvement Company.
That's a huge, expansion.
Yeah, and then the boundary will become the Multnomah County boundary of the urban growth boundary.
Oh, wow.
So that the responsibility will still be for maintaining that system directly along the Columbia, but it will broaden the base of who can help pay for the system.
Oh, okay. So the levees are mostly all along the Columbia, right?
Yep.
We don't have them along the Willamette.
We don't. There's a flood wall or a seawall downtown Portland,
right.
but there are no other levees in the area.
Okay. Wow. That's a huge undertaking, and the timeline's got to be pretty long to get all this done.
So the new district, the goal is to have the board appointed by the end of April. So we're just a couple of months out. It's really important to get that initial board up and running so that they can start having the conversation about how do we pay for this going forward.
Yeah.
This new district has its responsibilities laid out, but it doesn't have a funding structure set up. So they have a set of tools that they can use, but the board is going to be responsible for figuring out how to pay for this.
Wow.
And what the responsibilities really are. You know, they've been given some additional authorities by the state legislature, including contributing to the environment, water quality, habitat.
All important things you got to consider, right?
Yeah, especially in this area where there's so much.
Right along the slough there's a lot of wildlife, and
Yep. So the board is going to have to make some decisions about what that means. They're going to have to work with other local jurisdictions and figure out what exactly does that look like for this new district, and what are the long-term goals for the managed floodplain.
Wow, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Is it a big board? It's got to be a pretty...
It's a big board.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be a pretty big board, I would think, yeah.
The initial board is 17 members, and it's 12 local governments, including the cities along the area.
And then the new cities, like Milwaukee
So it's City of Portland, Wood Village, Gresham, Troutdale, and Fairview.
Okay, I thought you said there were...
And then it's Multnomah County, Metro, the Port of Portland, and the 4 drainage districts.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also a more sort of community contingent that will be appointed by the governor. And those seats are reserved for someone who lives in the managed floodplain, so that area along the river, someone who either owns a business or represents a business in that area, a nonprofit located in the area, and then an environmental justice and an environmental conservation organization.
That's good. That's thinking ahead. That's good. Get all perspectives.
Exactly. So currently we're working on getting that board appointed, getting people to express interest in the community seats, and to stand up that board. And then I think our best guess is maybe 3 years to get the revenue structure set up, to do all the strategic planning and visioning and community engagement.
It's a big task.
Yeah.
So what can the public do, or what would you like the public to do or be involved in?
Well, a couple different things. Over the next couple of years, there's going to be a lot of conversation about the future of the area, what this district does, who pays for what. And so we definitely will want the community to be involved in that. Most immediately, we're really interested in getting this board up and running. And so we're looking for folks who are interested in serving in these appointed positions on the board. And then fun stuff coming up. We actually have two Bike the Levee events coming up at the end of, well, I guess one's in April and one is in May. And these are they're fun events, but they're really educational. We take people out. Yep, here's our flyer. So we do an eastern route and we do a western route. The western route really focuses on some of the neighborhoods down further in the North Portland area, and the Vanport area and covering a lot of
the Vanport area that was flooded out 70 years ago.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the eastern route is a lot more, through the Fairview sort of residential areas along the river, and then up into Tripp and the Chateau Reynolds Industrial Park and more of the industrial area. But it's really fun, you get out, bicycle for somewhere between 10 and 15 miles, depending on the route.
That sounds good. And are they going like along Marine Drive for part of it?
Yeah. So we do, part of it is Marine Drive, part of it, we try to really dip into the whole managed floodplain. So
that's great. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn about the system and also get out and enjoy the spring weather.
Get some exercise, and those are pretty times in this area.
Yeah.
Lots of flowers and good things to look at. Cool. Okay. Well, then people should pay attention and, just pay attention to the news and listen to what's going on. And if they're really interested in getting involved, we'll have your website up there. They can contact you and let you know what they want to do and certainly bike the levees. And okay, so this is...
Yep, so this is the website to get information about the new district and to potentially sign up for the, express interest in serving on the board.
Good. And help shape the future, because it really is, isn't it? I mean, it's a really important thing. Thank you, Evan, for being on the show tonight.
Thank you.
It's important information that I think a lot of people don't even think about. So, it's good to know that we have maybe some control over our future there.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for watching this first segment of Community Hotline. We have a lot more coming up, so please don't go away. We'll be right back.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels. A very special thanks to all our sponsors who help make our programming possible. Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart, the contributor.
How does access to the internet affect people's lives? How does access to the internet affect people's lives in Multnomah County? Who's included in our digital economy and who's being left out? Whose voices and experiences are being represented in local media? Your Voice 2020 intends to find out. Hi, I'm Monica Weitzel, host of Community Hotline. At MetroEast, we encourage all Multnomah County residents to fill out the survey so you can have a say in shaping a roadmap for an accessible and inclusive technology future. It's quick, easy, and anonymous. Go to yourvoice2020.mhcrc.org to take the survey online or find out how to get a hard copy. The survey is open through February 29, 2020. Please join us in advocating for the community's need and allocation of future resources, and share your voice. Every week on Community Hotline, we highlight the great work of local nonprofits in our area. And now you can also see us on our live Facebook feed, 7 p.m. every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. So tune in and find out what's going on in your community. Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media, and I'm glad you stayed with us. We're going to talk now with the Multnomah Bar Foundation. Representing the Bar Foundation today, we have the Honorable Xiomara Torres. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
Judge Torres. And Abby Wool-Landon, you are of counsel to the law firm of Tonkin Torp LLP.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to have you too. And it's you're both board members on the Multnomah Bar Foundation, correct?
That is
Yes.
correct.
Great. So MetroEast has worked with the Bar Foundation quite a bit, and really respect that organization. One that I knew nothing about when we first started working with them, but they're the charitable or the charitable arm, I guess, or the nonprofit arm of the Multnomah Bar Association, correct? And there's a lot of interesting things that you do at the foundation, and there's education pieces, there's opportunities, volunteer networking events, and I mean, I was reading some of the educational opportunities, things like what can you learn from Kanye, like in all of his litigation stuff, and just just a real wide range of different kinds of educational opportunities that sounded really interesting. But today I'd like to talk most about the different programs you have. There are 3 programs, correct? That are offered through the or that you provide, I guess, through the foundation. Who wants to tell me a little bit about those programs? Do you want to start, Abby?
Well, I can start and just tell you the overview of the 3.
That would
The
be
oldest
great.
one is Court Care, and many people in the audience may be aware of that, and it's a program where people who are litigants in a courtroom can bring their children in to a safe space where the children can play, and it's basically daycare for people who are in court matters, in court cases.
Which is a huge thing because, if you don't have childcare, you can't get to court, right? And if you have to bring them, then that's a really uncomfortable situation, especially if it's maybe a family situation like a divorce or something,
and that's
child custody.
Cases, it's a wonderful program to have to assist families to care for the children so they can focus on their court hearings.
Right, and not have the kids have to see people contentiously,
Exactly.
Interacting with each other. Yeah, keep it as nice and smooth as they can for those kids. So there's the court care system.
Right, and just I would add a couple of things about court care. I remember I'm an older lawyer than Judge Torres, and I remember the days when there was no court care and how the Multnomah Bar Foundation came together to create this program. So we've had it for quite a number of years, but it was fully a function of the Multnomah Bar Foundation putting it together.
That's great.
So after that, they have we also do a Court Connect, which I think Judge Torres is going to talk a little bit about. She's been very instrumental in Court Connect, but Court Connect is an opportunity for civic education that participants, the bar and the judiciary get together and do a presentation. And then the third and newest program is called Court Support, and that is intended to help interact with the new courthouse. And after Judge Torres tells us a little bit more about I always get them mixed up. Court Connect, then we can talk a little bit about Court Support.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I joined the Multnomah Bar Foundation very early on when I first was appointed, so I've been on it for now 3 years. And the primary program that I've been working with is Court Connect, and I've helped identify lawyers who volunteer and do free presentations to community organizations, and the presentations are really geared to they're like civic duty, civic classes, but they're geared for giving a personal face to the courts so that people feel a little bit more comfortable and feel that they are know a little bit more about what takes place in a court setting.
It can be a big barrier to overcome, I'm sure,
Absolutely.
for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Especially if they have any kind of negative interactions with courts in the past, or sometimes just the way you're brought up. People, told no, just you got to be scared of them, and I think that would be huge to be able to give people a little reassurance that, the courts aren't there. They're there to help you, really, or they're there to help our community and to look at it from a different perspective. So the court, I know the Court Care, which is the the child care, that's free, right? I don't know if we mentioned that. That's free, and I know that when you got the new East County Courthouse, that was a big deal that was going to be available, and people have been taking advantage of it, I think, more and more. And then the court support, which assists the public with access to the services. And I don't know as much about that, but the Court Connect that you've been working on, so are you helping to pair up the judges with the...
Recruit volunteers. We have over 30 volunteers.
And these are attorneys?
Attorneys and judges. We pair one judge with one attorney.
Okay, yeah.
And we've had a really good response to seeking new volunteers, because I think that as lawyers and just being in the legal community, we think that educating the public about the rule of law is really important. These are not presentations where we give free legal advice, but these are presentations where we go to, we've gone to SOAR, which is Sponsors Organized to Assist Refugees. They have citizenship classes, so some of the presentations have been at some of these citizenship classes.
Just like tag onto their citizenship.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. That's a good idea.
And we've been to Lutheran Community Services Northwest, also citizenship classes. We're looking in the future at middle schools, high schools. I know that we also went to Selwood Moreland Improvement League, and that was quite a success.
Good.
So just reaching out to the community so that, again, there's a connection. This is one of the SOAR citizenship class presentations, and you see Judge Stalin, and he's paired up with someone from the Attorney General's office, one of the lawyers from that office. And like I said, these have been successful classes, presentations.
The immigrant and refugee communities, I imagine, would really see a benefit from that, simply because if you're new to this country, knowing how it works,
Absolutely.
right? I think it would be a huge thing. But also, really, the schools is a good place to start. I think back to school, there was some in high school where we talked about the legal system, but not in middle school that I can remember, and maybe they do now. I hope that they do, but really, start them young to understand how our system works and what their responsibilities are as a citizen, really, to civic engagement.
And to meet a judge and to meet lawyers and hear a little bit about our court system.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Real people who are not that scary when you meet them.
Well, we're going to be reaching out to Latino Network, Muslim Educational Trust, Catholic Charities, the Lao Buddhist Center Northwest, and just some other organizations. And if people are interested, then they certainly can contact the Mulnama Bar Foundation to ask for these free presentations.
I can think of different ones right off the top of my head that they should contact them. Oh yeah, they would be good. Organizations that work with like IRCO and we'll have to talk later.
Absolutely.
I might want to get some information and pass it on to some groups, because I think that's really important.
Well, that was one of the things that we were excited about having an opportunity to be on today, because we did spend a lot of time last year recruiting volunteers so that we have teams ready to go. So we are really interested if an organization that you know of or the listeners know of that might appreciate getting an opportunity to have one of these presentations. And it is an interactive presentation, so it's people really enjoy it, and I think the judges and the lawyers come away and learn a little bit more about the citizenship in the community as well.
So what do you think, the people that are coming to these classes get out of it?
To the presentation, I think one of the things that a lot of people don't see, and this is part of the script, part of the presentation, is the judges have law books, and so you actually can point to actual statutes that we work with, and most people don't see those. And so, like I said, it's making law more accessible to the public.
We have to look stuff up too. I imagine you don't know all those laws, not everything by heart.
We look them up electronically mostly now, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you may not be flipping through a book, but
it's really nice to have those books to be able to show students and to be able to show, like you said, people who are studying to be U.S. citizens and taking the citizenship classes, and they're learning about our legal system, and then to have it live in front of them with the law books and the judges and lawyers. I think it is an interesting mix.
Well, you may end up, inspiring somebody to go into law, by just seeing how it works and seeing how accessible it really is. So what about the attorneys and the judges that do these presentations? What do they get out of that? You mentioned something. You said
surprisingly enough, we've been on the committee recruiting, and neither one of us have done it yet.
But you did mention something about connecting with the community.
I've spoken a number of times to lawyers in our both in my firm and in the community who have done these presentations, and they said that it's gratifying to have the opportunity to explain how much more there is to our legal system than just the, what you see on TV about police and arrests. That there's so many other aspects to our system and how it works and what it means to be in a particular court. And they said it was so gratifying to see people's faces light up and really get a better understanding of the entire structure.
The light bulbs going off in their heads. Yeah, that's huge.
And I think that from the judge's perspective, this is to increase procedural justice. We want people to feel that the courts are a place where there's fairness, they're being listened to, and this gives a lot more accessibility.
That's great. That's important. Now you. Did you say you wanted to talk a little bit more about the new courthouse?
We're super excited.
Before we run out of time, because we will. Let's talk about that.
It's opening summer, and
this next summer. It's summer 2020.
This summer.
Okay.
This summer, and so we're super excited to be moving into this new courthouse. And again, court care is going to be larger than we've ever had it.
More room
to be
for
able
the
to
kids
provide more for more families.
3 times more space, 2 times as many children we'll have space for. It's going to be beautifully appointed. It's been a pet project for everyone because it's a place where children feel safe, and we want them to have as much fun as possible in that environment.
Well, and it was designed, I assume, for children as opposed to before you probably had to find a room.
That's exactly
that wasn't
right.
designed for that. Yeah, that's exciting. And so, what about the navigation? You were saying something earlier about
this is new, and this is our new project, and we're so excited about it because again, it goes back to procedural fairness. You're going to have someone that can navigate you as you come in. There's going to be an information like kiosk with an actual person manning it who will be able to guide you as you're trying to figure out what you need to do in court.
Yeah,
so
where am I going?
This is
what
so
do I need
exciting.
to do? I'm here for this. What do I need to do?
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about. It is I see it all the time in court. Witnesses, people who represent themselves, self-represented litigants are nervous about coming into court and knowing what they're doing. And so I think that having the court navigator will be essential in easing some of that anxiety and making the court more approachable.
People get very nervous going to court. They don't know what to expect, and outcomes can be varied for people. So having somebody to reassure you, I think, is a big deal. We're just about out of time. What else do we need to talk about that we haven't covered today about the Multnomah Bar Foundation and the work that you're doing?
Well, I would say that all 3 of these programs are representative of what the foundation has been endeavoring to do for a long period of time. The Court Connect program, for example, was really developed in the boards prior to ours with a script, and many, many human hours of effort goes into these programs. Similarly, with court support, we asked the court where were the gaps in funding from the state and county, and one of the gaps in funding was this navigator and a way for people to come into the courthouse and be supported. And this was all the result of the Multnomah Bar Foundation's efforts, which is really an effort that's supported by the entire Multnomah County Bar Association and all of its members.
Yeah, which has almost 4,000 members, I understand. It's huge. That's really gratifying to know that the attorneys and judges in this town are doing that, that they really do care about the community and that they're trying to make things easier for the citizens and also to reassure them and get people involved in civic engagement too. So I appreciate what you've done so far, both of you, and I hope that you keep it up, and I'm looking forward to the new courthouse.
Right, we are too, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. And I'd love to have you come on again later and we can find out, get an update on how things are going. So
thank you so
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this segment of Community Hotline. I wish we had more time to talk about this because I still have more questions, but we're going to have to save that for another day. But don't go away. We have one more interview coming up, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels. A very special thanks to all our sponsors who help make our programming possible.
How does access to the internet affect people's lives in Multnomah County? Who's included in our digital economy and who's being left out? Whose voices and experiences are being represented in local media? Your Voice 2020 intends to find out. Hi, I'm Monica Weitzel, host of Community Hotline. At MetroEast, we encourage all Multnomah County residents to fill out the survey so you can have a say in shaping a roadmap for an accessible and inclusive technology future. It's quick, easy, and anonymous. Go to yourvoice2020.mhcrc.org to take the survey online or find out how to get a hard copy. The survey is open through February 29, 2020. Please join us in advocating for the community's need and allocation of future resources, and share your voice.
What local community media is to us is literally our lifeline to what's going on in the lives around us.
The absolute most important thing that happens in your neighborhood.
People's local communities are usually what's most important to them.
Because we're the faces, the smiles, the peoples, and the personalities of the community.
To not only give people a voice, but to have their voice heard.
Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. We're going to close out the show tonight talking with Dr. Jeffrey Eisen, the Chief Medical Officer for Cascadia Behavioral Health. Dr. Eisen, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's really nice. I kind of got in touch with you again after I heard that you had been selected by the governor to be on a council about the mental health situation in Oregon, and that sounded very impressive to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's an Oregon Behavioral Health Advisory Council. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's the Governor's Behavioral Health Advisory Council, which was created to help bring policy and budget recommendations to the governor for the next biennium, which is a 2-year period from 2021 to 2023.
Okay, so you're looking ahead to the future, and this is the council is made up of people not just in the medical field, correct? I mean, it's people from all different walks of life who are giving their perspective on mental health issues.
Yes. Okay. It's a really interesting and passionate group of people. It includes individuals from all walks of life, individuals who have experienced mental health concerns, individuals in recovery from substance use disorders, as well as a number of leaders from behavioral health organizations around the state, and also legislators and judges as well.
So yeah, that's good. You get different perspectives, you get different viewpoints, and then hopefully can come up with some good recommendations. So as part of that, then I see where Cascadia Behavioral Health or somebody from that organization, specifically you, would be a real big help, because at Cascadia you really approach things from a holistic viewpoint. You don't. It's not just a mental health. It's addiction recovery. It's homelessness. It's the whole person and behavioral health issues. So you really look at it from that complete picture, don't you?
We do.
Yeah.
Our mission is really to improve the quality of life of the individuals we serve. And there are many ways to do that. Improving mental health, physical health, managing substance use disorders, and also important factors like housing and employment. We know that housing equals health care, and individuals who are stably housed have better health outcomes. So that's a really important part of our mission, right alongside with the direct health care that we do each day.
They're really all tied in together, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, one without the other. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. But for the longest time, health was not approached in that way.
That's very true. In general, historically, all of those different areas have been very siloed, which means that individuals work in behavioral or mental health, individuals work on chronic physical health concerns, addictions treatment happens separately, and oftentimes those groups of individuals weren't collaborating or working with each other as well as they could.
Right.
And we realized that we needed to consider all of those factors together. So for example, if we were to just focus on behavioral health alone, someone would get better, but we know they would get even much better with all of those other factors that are important to people's lives.
And continue to be better and stay healthy, because if your housing is unstable or you haven't treated your addiction problem, the chances of you staying healthy are probably not that good.
Right. It becomes much more difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So. In talking about mental health, which is kind of a crisis area here in Oregon and across the nation, it seems like at this time. Would you agree with that? Would you?
I would say that is the case, because there is far more need than the ability to provide the services. And we know in the Portland metro area that the topics of mental health, addictions, and houselessness are central to the conversations that we are having as communities, as families, and in the media you see it a lot as well too. So we are right in the epicenter of some of the most important and critical issues facing our area, and that's what's exciting about this work for all of us, that we can really help people's lives and really solve some important problems.
Yeah, for the long term, not just Band-Aids.
Right. Yes, that's the goal.
Yeah. So part of this, there's a new Senate Bill 1552.
Yes.
That is up before the Oregon legislature right now, that is in session. You are involved with that, or can you tell me about that, because that is going to, if that goes through, it's going to very positively affect your work and that of the other professionals in this state.
Absolutely. Cascadia has been very involved in supporting Senate Bill 1552, as well as myself, for the great funding it provides for individuals with mental health and substance use disorder concerns. This is funding that actually helps the entirety of the state. This funding actually supports the continuation of what are called Certified Community Behavioral Health Centers, or CCBHCs. Cascadia is a CCBHC organization, and there are 12 organizations like this throughout the state in frontier, rural, and urban areas.
Okay.
And the good news about that is that it means that a lot of individuals can get care across our state. It's a program that is new. It's just a new 2-year program that was funded by the federal government. And we are looking to hopefully extend that demonstration project so we can really show how effective the work is that we are doing.
So it's a pilot program then, is that right? Would you call it that?
Right.
And it's not just in Oregon, it's in several other states as well?
Yes, it's in 8 states across the country. Oregon was selected by the federal government as one of the demonstration states, and then Cascadia was selected as one of the 12 CCBHC demonstration sites in Oregon.
Well, that's great. That's good. So is that the pilot project, or the project that's going on, is it a comprehensive program? Is that like what you always advocate for?
Yes. Yes, so the program, which came out of a federal act, which is called the Excellence in Mental Health and Addictions Treatment Act of 2014. And what that did is it established a new way of delivering mental health care, including expanded collaboration and coordination of care within organizations and across organizations. And it focuses not only on behavioral health concerns, but the chronic physical health conditions that individuals have with who have behavioral health concerns, and also substance use concerns as well too. So it allows organizations to expand those types of services. And the funding model as well is larger and more expansive than it has been in the past, and that provides great opportunity to provide new, innovative, and important programs.
Okay, tell me about the money. Tell me about how much money are we talking about here that Oregon could get if this goes through from the federal government?
Yes, so in order to receive the federal funding, Oregon must also conduct what's known as a state match. So there is $62 million that will be available to the state of Oregon from the federal government. It is a lot of money. In order for us to receive that money, the state has to conduct a 20% match, or $15 million. So what this legislation does is it allocates and supports the $15 million so we can draw down the $62 million.
Well, that seems like a small ask for a lot. I mean, it's granted, 15 million is a lot of money, but to get 62 million, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is.
And it would seem like a real darn shame to miss out on that money.
Absolutely, it's very true.
Yeah.
So what we say is that there's $77 million in mental health and addictions funding that is at stake right now, and that's why 1552 is so important.
Yeah, people always talk about, when you hear of something in the news, people always say it's because we need more mental health support. We need more, help for mental health patients, or people in general, just mental health services. Right. And if we're able to do that considerably more, you do considerably more with that amount of money, it would be very unwise not to.
It would be.
Not to take advantage of that.
It would be, and we've seen great results from the work we've done. So part of what we did is we integrated 20 hours a week of primary care in 3 of our 4 health centers, and we followed a group of 900 individuals who have been enrolled in the CCBHC program, and we found that through these integrated programs, we reduced their utilization of the emergency department by 18%, and we reduced their medical admissions to the hospital by 23%. Oh, wow. So what we see is that there are ways to deliver great care in the community so that people don't have to use services that are uncomfortable, or services that are expensive, or services potentially that are trauma-inducing for individuals.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what can the general public do? Is this something we could, write to or call, or, one of our representatives, senators, somebody to show our support for it? Okay.
Yes. So now is the time to speak up and advocate for this. The Senate and the House of Representatives in Salem are currently in session right now for just a 5-week period.
Right, it's a short session, right?
It's a short session, so we are right in the middle of it, and so now is a great time. So what individuals can do is that they can call or write their state senators or representatives, and if individuals don't know who their state rep is or their state senator is, they can go to OregonLegislature.gov, and you can find it that way.
Good. I mean, we can get that up on the screen. Yeah, that's an easy thing to do, right?
Right.
It's an easy thing to do.
It's easy, and it's really important.
Yeah.
And I find that our local legislators and our state legislators are really quite responsive and grateful for our involvement.
Good. I've found that too, and I think that says something good about our state, that they are. So really, I can't imagine anybody who is listening and watching this show that doesn't have somebody in their life who has either a mental health issue or addictions issue, or some behavioral health issues, or they themselves. Everybody has somebody in their life that is affected by that. So
that's true.
Think about that person and how this might be able to help them and other people that you don't even know that you may live next door to or see in the store or whatever else. It really would help the entire community.
Yes, absolutely it would.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit, before we run out of time, tell me a little bit about the work that you've been doing. I know you look at the whole person, but part of that is a issue of stable housing.
Absolutely.
And you have a new housing unit, or new housing complex that's going to be built or is being built?
Yes. So What is exciting about Cascadia is that we do see housing as an integral part to improving the quality of lives of individuals in our communities. And so we are working on the construction, we're just planning it now, of a new apartment building that will be located at 164th and Powell, that will have 71 units of affordable housing. And that housing is very diverse. We certainly hope that individuals with disabilities and behavioral health concerns are part of the tenants there, also veterans and others as well, and individuals with complex needs and low income. And so this is part of our initiative and our importance in, and there's a picture. And this is a part of the important work we're trying to do to solve some of these problems that we're facing around houselessness and the increasing cost of living that is occurring here in our metro area.
It's very, very difficult. Is this in any way like the Garlington Center that you have, or is that one more extensive in its
So
services?
it is similar to that. The Garlington Center has 52 units of supported housing, so it is very similar in this way. This one is a little bit larger. So it is a movement forward in our continued commitment to focus on the needs of individuals and to try to provide housing and also to help keep people housed once they are able to get that housing.
Good, yeah, and keep them healthy so that they can stay in that housing.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yes.
I appreciate all the work that you do at Cascadia and what you're doing with the state of Oregon and for promoting this bill, because it really is important. Is there anything else we need to know before we close the show tonight?
The only other thing I would reiterate is that speaking to your senators and representatives about 1552 is really important. And also, it is true that, like we talked about the last time I was here, that mental health concerns are very normal. You can talk to anyone in any walk of life, and they could speak about themselves or a friend or family member or coworker who is struggling. And we know that talking about it and feeling open and confident to talk about those types of concerns really helps to reduce stigma and helps to allow people to feel like this is very normal and very common in our society. And once we start talking about it, I think that's where the real change happens.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much. And thank you for being the one to come on and talk about it. So I appreciate it, Dr. Eisen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go now and get my laptop out and send my emails. So
that sounds great.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching this segment of Community Hotline and the rest of the show. It's been a very informative show. I've learned a lot, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Do as we said, if you can, please support Senate Bill 1552 and be a good citizen in your community. We're here on Community Hotline. We'll see you here next week. I'm Monica Weitzel. Good night.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels. A very special thanks to all our sponsors who help make our programming possible.
How does access to the internet affect people's lives in Multnomah County? Who's included in our digital economy and who's being left out? Whose voices and experiences are being represented in local media? Your Voice 2020 intends to find out. Hi, I'm Monica Weitzel, host of Community Hotline. At MetroEast, we encourage all Multnomah County residents to fill out the survey so you can have a say in shaping a roadmap for an accessible and inclusive technology future. It's quick, easy, and anonymous. Go to yourvoice2020.mhcrc.org to take the survey online or find out how to get a hard copy. The survey is open through February 29, 2020. Please join us in advocating for the community's need and allocation of future resources, and share your voice.
MetroEast plays a vital role in strengthening community life by helping nonprofit organizations share their story. One major opportunity we offer is Community Hotline, our weekly talk show that highlights the stories of our community's nonprofit organizations.
We've had a lot of people call Ride Connection because they've seen us on Community Hotline.
We can reach people that I've never thought about reaching out to.
We can get that word out to a broad audience quickly.
The list of causes and nonprofits that we support is really incredible.
Do you know a nonprofit you'd like to see on Community Hotline? We'd love to have them on the show. Give us a call. Every week on Community Hotline, we highlight the great work of local nonprofits in our area. And now you can also see us on our live Facebook feed, 7 p.m. every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. So tune in and find out what's going on in your community.
It is so important for me to have the right, be able to speak what I want to speak and talk about what I want to talk about.
If you start shutting this person up and shutting that person up and shutting this person up, that's not America.
How does access to the internet affect people's lives in Multnomah County? Who's included in our digital economy and who's being left out? Whose voices and experiences are being represented in local media? Your Voice 2020 intends to find out. Hi, I'm Monica Weitzel, host of Community Hotline. At MetroEast, we encourage all Multnomah County residents to fill out the survey so you can have a say in shaping a roadmap for an accessible and inclusive technology future. It's quick, easy, and anonymous. Go to yourvoice2020.mhcrc.org to take the survey online or find out how to get a hard copy. The survey is open through February 29, 2020. Please join us in advocating for the community's need and allocation of future resources, and share your voice.